What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this weekend. So what we're going to be talking about in this update is a little bit of the technicals on what we're seeing on AMC right now, the Ortex data, a little bit of what we're seeing on the options chain, as well as Max Payne. And then we're going to get into the two key things that I really want to get across to you guys in this update. So the first is going to be that in the last 10 years, the market is seeing right now an all-time high level of shorting. Now, does this mean the market is going to capitulate and fall directly through the floor, or are shorts going to get squeezed? Well, we're going to be talking about that a little bit later in this video as well. But again, there is a very, very high level of shorting going on in the overall market. Now, in addition to this, I've been seeing a lot of people floating around a couple of these concepts about short interest on AMC right now. There's an article that keeps coming out, and people keep making these claims about who is shorting AMC right now and in how much. In what quantity are they shorting the stock at the given time? We're going to clear up all of that in this video so that you guys can go into next week with the most accurate information on what is going on with the short interest on AMC right now. So again, guys, before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down in there and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. And again, you've seen the amount of success that people have been having with the 1348 trading strategy. Everybody on that private live stream on Friday morning was absolutely killing it on BABA and SPY. If you guys are interested in learning this strategy and really taking advantage of the opportunity that this volatile market is giving you right now, make sure you check out that link down below so you can get grandfathered in before the prices go up at the end of the month. So AMC closed the day on Friday at $12.53, up 74 cents. Very solid day that we did end up having on AMC. Now, when we take a look at the longer time frames over here, there's a couple of key things that we need to look for. Again, we are slowly starting to see this 13 and 48 EMA converge. We've seen them start to tighten up in the past, looking for this cross. We haven't necessarily gotten it yet. The 4-hour MACD is looking okay, but we do need to see that bullish momentum above that 200 EMA for me personally to consider buying any call options on AMC right now. But when we come over to the Ortex data right here, we've got 22.69% estimated short interest. Actually, let me give this a quick refresh to make sure that we have this up-to-date and accurate information from Ortex and what they're estimating. Yep, 22.69, 19.18% average cost to borrow, 21.07% max cost to borrow. And again, almost 196 million shares on loan right now at 195.76 million. And with what we're going to talk about in a few minutes, you can see that this is happening across the board with the overall market right now, which is going to tell us some very interesting and key things going into the next couple of weeks. Now, when we come over to Stonko Tracker and take a look at the potential for a gamma, there's nothing too crazy in terms of what's going on in the options chain until we get out to next July, where there's 400,000 call contracts out of the money right now, but only 10,000 call contracts in the money. So we do need to see that significant price movement to the upside in order to get those calls in the money, these 87,000 puts out of the money, to see those market makers come in and start hedging these contracts. Now, again, there was a really, really large conversation surrounding Max Payne over this last week. It started the week at 18, came down to 16. I believe it finished the week at around 15 for what the Max Payne was going to be for AMC. And again, we didn't finish there. So Max Payne is not the determining factor over where we are going to finish on any given week. For this next week, Max Payne is 12. That's just the price where the market makers are going to make the most amount of money. Now, let's start talking about this situation with what's going on with the overall market in terms of the overall short interest. Everybody knows at this point, the Fed raised interest rates by 75 basis points this week. There's a lot of inflation fears. We have the Russian-Ukraine conflict still going. We have those supply chain issues. And again, inflation. And a lot of people are scared over what's going to happen over the next couple of months in the stock market, the housing market, and even the bond market at this point right now, too. So when we come over to this image right here, this is from the Goldman Sachs Prime book. Remember, Goldman Sachs is one of the, if not the largest prime brokerage in the financial markets. This means that there's facilitating a lot of these transactions, providing leverage, and allowing people to enter these short positions. And they provide a lot of data most of the time, too. So what we're looking at here is anything above here, this zero line, this neutral line in terms of their Z-score is going to be short covering. Anything below, short selling. So when we're looking right here, this red line is the recent low, which would essentially mean a high of short selling over the last couple of years. Since 2010, we have never came back down to this level that we have hit right here. The only other time that we have come down to this low of a level, meaning aggressive shorting in the overall market, was in 2008, the global financial crisis. So when we're looking at this chart right here, there are two possibilities of what could happen. We could see the market bounce and we go on a nasty, aggressive short squeeze of the overall market, which could include AMC and GME. The second is that we are not done yet with the overall sell-off in the total stock market right now, the total equity market, and we do have some ways to go down. But again, people, even if we still come down in the overall market, there is still that vast amount of short interest that is still out there, not only just on AMC and GME, the big indexes, a lot of these bond funds too. There's a lot of people betting against the United States equity market right now that are eventually going to get out of these positions. So that is what I wanted to talk about on that front. But I do want to talk about expanding this a little bit more. So we talked a little bit about shorting in the overall market, but let's talk specifically about AMC. Now, you have to think about sort of the battle that we have going on here with reporting, the regulatory institutions that are trying to come in and potentially make the markets more fair. One of the main things is that we do not know who is shorting these stocks or in what amount. So when things like this come out over here, who is shorting AMC? Susquehanna, 11 million shares short. Citadel, 4.8 million shares short. Goldman Sachs, 2.785 million shares short. If you guys have been paying attention over the last couple of months, this should raise some really big red flags for you because we don't actually know any of this for sure. And here's where some of this data is coming from. And I want you guys to fully understand this because at the end of the day, having an empowered retail base with a lot of knowledge going into the market is going to benefit us in the long run. When we come over to this page right here, when we take a look at Susquehanna, so remember, those 11 million shares that this article said that they were shorting. It's actually put contracts right here. So you could think that they have, well, let's just say they have 11 million puts, which they don't, and we're going to go over that as well. Then you would also have to say that they are net long on their position because they also have a boatload of calls, according to the latest 13F reporting, and they also have shares. The other thing with Bank of America over here, let's see, Bank of America, 1.007 million shares short. When we come over here, we could also see, let me type in Bank of America here really quickly, just so you guys can see Bank of America as well. You're going to see the exact same thing. That Bank of America, they have puts and they have shares. Now, there is something a little bit interesting on the data that we're seeing here on Fintel that I do want to kind of bring up to you guys. Remember, the SEC, we've gone over this a couple of times, they actually say and they encourage people not to report their short positions. Some funds do, like we can see here, but the biggest short position that we see here in terms of what's reported by some of these funds is 236,000 shares. We know that there's at least 196 million shares on loan, so the reported data right now isn't helping us out all that much. But what I do want to really kind of drive home to you guys is this situation right here where we're looking at these institutions who have puts, and then it comes over here and says that there's 11 million of them. There's not, and here is why. When we come over to this page right here, this is what's reported on 13Fs. It's the notional value of the option. So the way that they calculate it, or the nominal value of the option, sorry about that. The nominal value is calculated as the number of options contracts that they have times 100 times the value of the underlying security. So that brings you to this number right here that we are seeing, the reported value. So what they're doing is taking the amount of put contracts that they have, multiplying it by 100 to get this number right here, the shares that their put contracts control, and then multiplying it by whatever the closing price was at the end of the quarter, and then getting this number over here. So these puts, calls, and the shares that they hold long are not an indication of any short interest. And when we look at what's actually reported in terms of shorts right here, that's not giving us a good indication either. So again, people, we need better reporting instructions. We need to see a lot of this data in order to kind of figure out, well, who are the institutions that we are fighting against at the current time. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you're notified every time I post a new video. So I hope you guys are having a great long weekend, and I will see you guys in the next one.